Hello and welcome to the Claret Blue podcast, our first episode in the new Birmingham studio. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, it's makes a change seeing you in person rather than having to stare at you down my dodgy Wi-Fi. So yeah, you look less frazzled than usual.
Yeah, I've had a good night's sleep for a change, the first time in a while. I've been in here early morning trying to set everything up. And I will say, for people watching on YouTube, this is like phase one, stage one. It's very hospital waiting room at the moment. No decoration on the walls or anything. We've got these fancy mic stands, a little coffee table and props. It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to get to IKEA, don't you, or something like soft furnishings place to get a couple of throws and rugs.
A rug.
Yeah, that's it, a little vase of flowers.
Yeah, we've only got the one camera angle today as well. This is our Monday show for today. We are filming this on the 15th of January. We're not pre-recording this or anything. This is today. Everton was 0-0 yesterday. Martinez made a great save just to prove that this is today.
Hold up today's newspaper.
Yeah, if you've got one to hand. Today we're talking about transfers, and not that Aston Villa have signed anyone or got rid of anyone. It is very quiet, as we expected, to be honest. So we're going to do like a retrospective look back at like a tier list, a ranking video, a top 10, whatever you want to call it, of all of Villa's signings since promotion. Now, I think, I've not double-checked this as we're recording it, I think it's 41 signings. So we're not going to put them in order from 1 to 41. But
that was going to be the plan, wasn't it? Then we
it's like, well,
didn't get around to doing our homework. So.
Yeah, far too long for that. So what we're going to try and do is put them into categories. Excellent, good, jury's out, or still needs a bit of time, did a job or served a purpose, and poor/waste of money. Yeah. So a little bit harsh, some of these maybe, but I think when I was going through like the prep for this, for me there was a very obvious like they're really good, they're crap, and the rest of them were like a jumble in the middle. Did you feel the same?
Yeah, I find it mad. It just kind of almost shows the journey of Aston Villa, the evolution of Aston Villa, I suppose is the phrase I'm looking for. That, when did we get promoted?
2019. Yeah.
2019. So we're approaching kind of 5 years back in the top flight, and it almost has been this evolution. And I know we'll come to players individually, although we're not going to have time to go through them all in detail individually. But I kind of it's difficult. I found it quite a difficult task, or I think I will find it a difficult task, because some signings, obviously, if you compared them against where we're at now with Unai Emery's kind of Aston Villa, they would come off worse, if you like. Yeah. But they serve the purpose at that time. So you can only sign players for the circumstances that you're in, can't you? So I don't know whether, again, there might be a bit of recency bias and a bit of kind of favouritism creeping in. But anyway, let's crack on.
Yeah, we'll dive straight into it. Obviously, again, some of them, as you say, at the time you thought that's an excellent signing for where we are at the moment, newly promoted and just want to stay in the league. Whereas if you look back 3 or 4 years later, that signing isn't excellent anymore. Maybe it was just good, and vice versa. Some players we've only recently signed, you think, they could be top tier, but maybe need a bit of time. Yeah. Hence the category names being a little bit all over the place. Do you want to start with good ones rather than the bad? Or do you want to flip it?
Yeah, start with the good ones, I think, because I think it's a bit boring, isn't it, the good ones? I think
I suppose it is a little
probably
bit.
Just name yesterday's starting 11,
can't it is a little bit like that. It's all the good players have now make the top tier that we've got. So I've called it excellent, but you could kind of interchange that with A+ or whatever. So do you want me to read the players I've got and you tell me if I'm missing anyone? Is that how you want to do it?
Go on, yeah. Okay. There might be some that we come across later that we have to re-add.
Of course. So I've got Ezri Konsa. These are in no particular order, by the way. We are going to do like a best and a worst and a few different categories at the end, but for now this is no order. I've got Konsa.
I need a bell so I can just go ding, ding.
Just do that. Konsa, Martinez, Watkins, Tyrone Mings, Douglas Luiz, Pau Torres and Boubacar Kamara I've got as being top tier.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anybody. I'd probably put Ashley. The one that pops into my mind is Ashley Young, because I think
in the toppest, in the highest tier.
I think so, just because there may be a little bit of sentiment in there, but I just think he came in and performed at a really high level, considering his age, considering that we'd seen him play further up the field, and he was revamped into a fullback. He was streetwise, and I thought he brought that bit of maturity. So I thought that was a really shrewd signing. So again, I might be a little bit sentimental, but I think I'd crowbar him in there, I think.
Yeah, I'd got him in the category below, just good or great or whatever word you want to use it. Not quite the top tier of Martinez.
Who did you have Diaby in that?
No, I've got Diaby in the second
Do you have
category.
Bailey in that?
Second category.
No, that's fine. Just double checking that I haven't missed anything. I agree. I would have them both in the next category now.
Okay, well, before we go into any specifics then at any point and get bogged down in it, let's just go through all the categories first. So in my second category, good or great or whatever, I've got Matty Cash, Moreno, Bailey, Diaby, Luca Dean, Tielemans and Buendia.
I'd actually put Moreno.
Yeah, I was tempted. I was tempted to have him higher just because of the impact that he came in last year. Obviously, he's been injured for most of this season so far, but the impact and change in the way we played probably does put him slightly higher. He was one that, obviously, I'm writing this on an iPad, and if I could just fling him up a little bit, I probably would. Arguably Bailey as well, but that's more based off of this season alone. I think if you look at his overall career, I can't say he's been excellent all the way through. 18 months ago I was saying, we might need to get rid of him. But the potentially showing now, maybe he's one as well that you could maybe move up.
I wouldn't move Bailey up, but I would move Moreno up.
Okay, all right, let's go into the third category again. This is jury's out or needs a bit of time. I've only got 4 players in this one.
So this can only be current players, I presume?
Yes. I've got Diego Carlos, which feels a little bit harsh in retrospect, but again, he's been injured a long time. Zaniolo, Longley, 2 summer signings from this year, and John Duran.
Yeah, it's difficult because if they all left tomorrow, they'd go in the next one down, wouldn't they?
Yeah, because they've not done anything yet. Diego Carlos is a good footballer. I think Duran has got something about him. They all have. Longley played very well against Everton, incidentally. It's probably, you could make a case to say, well, they'll be a good signing, but as of right today, I can't say that they've done enough for me to put them up there, but also did a job or served a purpose. Like they've not been around long enough for me to say, well, they were good enough.
I think that not the I can't think the word. The prerogative, I suppose. Is that not the prerogative of a fringe player at a football club to be that? Because if they were that brilliant, then John Duran would be keeping Ollie Watkins out the team, and likewise Longley would be keeping Ezri Konsa out the team. So again, it's really difficult lens which to judge them through because they've been signed as fringe players.
Yeah, so they're doing the job
performing as fringe players, performing as fringe players in a team that is competing possibly for the title, definitely for the Champions League places. So it's a weird one, but I think that's a little bit of a get-out category. That buys us a bit of time, I think, for when we do this in a year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Zaniolo's a lone player, may not be here, maybe. Obviously, we don't know. Duran is still young, loads of potential. He could go out on loan, he could come back, he might not play a lot, he could play loads in years to come. Longley might not be here after this summer. Diego Carlos is probably the one that is borderline there as a permanent signing for a good amount of money. Came in with great pedigree, gets injured basically straight away, has come back obviously this season and has looked good in spells when he's played, but again, not enough for me to say. I suppose it's how you rank it. Am I saying he's good on his ability or it was a good transfer? On ability, of course, he's a good footballer, he's a great footballer, but was it a good or great transfer yet? Oh, I don't think so.
It's on impact as well, isn't it? Because I think we've left Cash, haven't we, out of the top.
Yeah,
the
Cash
top bracket
in the second one for me.
And it's like, well, has Diego Carlos had enough football to match the impact that Cash has? And obviously, he hasn't. So again, I think it's a bide our time category, that is.
Yeah, just on Cash very quickly. Again, we'll jump over the place in this. Is there any? Can you make any sort of case that he should be in the category above? Because he's been here, he's had longevity, that he's been out right back for 3 years.
It's a really difficult one for me because, Cash signed for the Dean Smith era.
Yeah.
Has come in and done a fantastic job, really, in terms of helping Villa stay in the Premier League and establish ourselves in the Premier League. But has he kicked on in the same way as, I won't go through all the Villa players, but the ones that we've mentioned in terms of Watkins and Konsa and Mings, in terms of players who also contributed to Villa's consolidation in the Premier League, but then were able to elevate themselves to the next level. I think he's almost like a kind of in-betweener in the way. Not in a whatever his Jay Cartwright or whatever his name is. But you know that kind of teams that like yo-yo teams who get promoted from the Championship to the Premier League, they come back down and they go back up again.
That's
I think Cash is there between our elite level and our next level down.
Okay, fair enough. The fourth category I've got is did a job or served a purpose. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players in this category. Yeah. There's a couple of players that are still currently at the club, some have left. 2 goalkeepers, Tom Heaton and Robin Olsen. I've got Callum Chambers and Courtney Hawes. Dendonka, or 3 in fact, Dendonka, Nakamba, Target, Trezeguet, El Ghazi and Danny Ings.
So I would rank Tom Heaton higher.
Would you?
Because he wasn't here very long. But when he was outstanding. Maybe we've seen our latest goalkeeper is the absolute, top dog if you like. But Tom Heaton, I'd probably put him in the category, like
the good
category
one.
B,
whatever
that is. And I'd probably, I might get stick for this. I'll probably put Robin Olsen further down.
Okay,
because not so much recently, but has created a sense of panic at times.
Yes, I think if in that category specifically, are you saying that am I saying that Heaton and Olsen are level pegging? No, because Heaton's the better goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like the transfer, Heaton didn't play for us for very long. Obviously got injured as well, didn't he, a little bit in the January that Wesley got injured. Yeah, Heaton is a better footballer than Olsen was. I don't know, I just don't think either of them inspire. If I look through a list of Villa's transfers, I don't think, that's a brilliant sign in there. So, he's did a job, Tom Heaton. I think he's an accurate description for me. He was a good player, but did a job, served a purpose.
Well, whatever way we carve it up, I wouldn't have him in the same category.
Okay, all right. Well, we can rejig these around.
I'm not getting aggro about it. I'm just.
Is there any other players?
If you don't want me to talk,
no. I'm all for a little bit of disagreement on a Monday morning. Is there any other players in there that you think are maybe in the wrong category?
Read them really fast again.
Matty Target, Trezeguet, El Ghazi, Nakamba, Ings, Hawes, Dendonka, Chambers, Olsen, Heaton. I probably read that too quickly for anyone to even understand that. Matt Target was the one.
He's an interesting one, Matt Target, because
player of the year, the 1 year.
Again, if we're putting Matty Cash in that second bracket, I think Matt Target probably has to go in there.
Yeah.
Because again, he was signed for the specific purpose of keeping Aston Villa in the Premier League. It seems it was years ago now, but it seems a lifetime ago now when him and kind of Jack Grealish were had that partnership down the left hand side. I think
probably
quite unfashionable, isn't he, Matt Target?
I think the way he left and the loan, and then there's some comments, wasn't there, about us or Newcastle or whatever. I think he kind of didn't do himself any favours in that. I can't remember specifically what it was, but there was something. Yeah. But I think if you rate it as a transfer, we made most, if not all, of our money back on him as well. So that probably goes under the radar a little bit. That you think, we've not really done any damage to Villa.
Yeah, and we probably should have done some more prep on this, but we almost needed a kind of formula that says, what were they signed for? Did they achieve it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's probably one way of.
That's why I feel. I mean, El Ghazi obviously, had his best days in the Championship. We signed him on loan and he gets us promoted. Yeah. So obviously fond memories of that. But scored goals for us. Was caught from the penalty spot. But again, probably tarnished a little bit by reputation that I just associated with Trezeguet off. El Ghazi on and just being known for that almost, which is so harsh really, but for the time period that they were there, did the job.
I know they start together a lot lately, but is that not a Bailey off?
Yeah,
Diaby on,
it's a better quality, I suppose.
And it and again, I think I'm the harshest judge really on Trezeguet and El Ghazi. But if you look back in terms of their numbers, in terms of the goals that they scored, I mean, Trezeguet scored some really big goals, and particularly during lockdown year, scored some crucial goals that helped us stay up. And El Ghazi, he was never the most kind of fashionable winger, which is neither of them were. They were kind of functional wingers, weren't they? Rather than
did a job,
rather than flair wingers, but they're all capable of assists and goals. So I'd probably put both of them in the second category.
Really, as far as good.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that.
Because how can you say that? I suppose you can say it because we're further up the table and we're competing with the elite. But has Diaby done more than Trezeguet or El Ghazi, or does he just seem more fashionable?
Yeah, I suppose it's how you rank it. In this current Villa now, Diaby will go on to be a better player than Trezeguet and El Ghazi were for Villa in that iteration as well. And Trezeguet and El Ghazi wouldn't be good enough now in the side that we've got. So I have
but
Diaby
the fact
as
that they've got those numbers in a side that's not performing well.
And
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's difficult. This is why I've kind of, again, I feel like I've got myself out of jail a little bit by having like a did a job category rather than just going good or bad.
This is why we couldn't do the kind of 41 to 1 countdown. We'd have just kind of exploded our minds.
No, I thought it was very easy, I say easy, to have like the 6 or 7, they're the top in some kind of order. Yeah. There's a bottom 5 or 6.
Yeah, and then
the middle 30 is
much of a muchness.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go on to the final category then. I've got poor/waste of money, which again is not exactly the same thing, but players in here for certain reasons. Some bad players in here. You've got Jan Bednarek, Morgan Sanson, Ali Samatta, Pepe Reina, Danny Drinkwater, Jota, Borja Baston. Famously, we filmed not in this office, but a late night podcast talking about Borja Baston Villa, Wesley, Augustinson, Bjorn Engels, and Coutinho.
So I think that's harsh on Coutinho.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
I think it's really harsh, and I think.
But I've kind of gone in for the money category of that, like not an expensive signing, but huge wages. Project Gerrard is what I associate with him with. We're stuck with him now, out on loan, back on loan, off to MLS, whatever it is.
Yeah,
not a good transfer.
I think the way I look at the Coutinho one is, I think he provided some real moments
of delight,
and I was,
your moments man, aren't you?
Yeah, and I was, having a love in with him every week, wasn't I? Giving him a standing ovation as he limped around the touchline after 70 minutes in whatever game it was. But the flip side of that is, were any of us really bothered when he went?
Exactly. Yeah.
We weren't, were we?
Yeah.
So that to me passes its own judgment on him. So I wouldn't have him in that bottom one. And it seems strange when you've got this, I don't know, mercurial magician to say, did a job. But I think that's probably the category. I don't think he did quite the job that we were expecting, given the outlay on wages that went towards him. But I suppose, the Gerrard era ended up being pretty bleak anyway without Coutinho. Imagine the Gerrard era without Coutinho.
Yeah, that's fair. Just very quickly, I've missed Traore off this. Obviously, he's still with us at the moment. Where would you stick him? Did a job, maybe? Again, a moment's player is what I think the Albion goal, Leicester City last year. Like, he's provided in some moments, but never seems to be fit, unreliable. Not a waste of money per se, not a poor footballer. So did a job, maybe? Served a purpose?
I suppose, judging him against the other people on the bottom tier, he probably is a little bit half a point better than them. So did a job, but I wouldn't have him alongside Coutinho. I think he's made less of an impact than Coutinho.
Okay.
So put him in there. Put him in. Did a job.
Okay.
I think, but he's been with us 4 years, and
feels like he's played like 30 games.
Yeah, and you don't even know whether he was at the club. Whether he's on loan, whether he's doing rehab, whether he's on international duty. And again, he's one of those ones where nobody's really clamouring to say, "Oh, I can't wait to see him play again."
So does that not constitute poor then?
I'd stick him in poor.
Okay.
I can
change your mind.
I can. I don't. He's one of those ones where I don't really mind.
I think it's probably a testament to the player that the Leicester City goal and the Albion goal, and there'll be others as well, but those are the two that I always think of. You think, good little footballer in there, there's some talent, that he could do a job for us. The Bertrand Traore that's never fit, predictable, unavailable, poor footballer, a poor transfer, I suppose. So, some of these players could move up and down. Somebody like Bertrand Traore could move up and down game to game, week to week. Yeah,
and it's hard to do your due diligence when you sign the player on every single aspect of it, and I'm sure he probably sailed through his medical and stuff like that, but with the benefit of hindsight, it doesn't look like the shrewdest of transfers now.
Yeah.
Because we've not seen enough football from...
we'll do like best and worst, like a definitive number 1 and a number 40 or whatever it is in a bit. It might be 41 now with Traore. Borja Baston, Ali Samatta, Jota. Have you got any kind of words for those guys?
Oh, Samatta, until we go to another cup final and score a goal in there, he's in folklore, isn't he? What was a great goal as well.
Was a good goal.
I found it a bit of a circus, the Samatta thing.
It's actually quite... when I was going through these, I just got him... in my head, I got him down as a free transfer.
Yeah.
I think it's like 10 million. Which isn't a lot, but for back then,
Yeah. It was very much a kind of statement of where we were at
Yeah.
at the time, wasn't he? Yeah, I mean, he's obviously not as bad as Borja Baston, because he has had some impact, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know, did Baston play about an hour or something? I think James Rushton wrote a piece saying
wasn't it something like
about
19?
45 minutes or something like that.
It might have got 19 minutes, but surely it can't have been as low as that.
Yeah, it may well have been.
I'm just googling, we could do a little bit like a where are they now thing. As you carry on, where is Ali Samatta now? Does anyone know?
No idea.
Carry on.
Not in the Aston Villa Hall of Fame anyway. Drinkwater was just, I've seen Drinkwater appearing across some kind of podcasts and stuff lately, and you can just get the sense that he was done. He was done by then. I think leaving, he went Leicester to Chelsea, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I think even when leaving Leicester, I think he was done. I think he thought he'd probably achieved everything that he was ever going to, and he probably had, to be fair. Who else was in that list?
Morgan Sanson.
Yeah, and we were all raving about him, weren't we? And I think he was one of the
did it?
ones that you just yearning because you knew there was a real player in there.
Yeah.
But 3 or 4 managers just didn't seem to think he was worth it. He wouldn't get near our midfield at the moment, would he?
No. Borja Baston, incidentally, is playing at Real Oviedo since 2021. He's played 92 games, scored 35 goals.
All right.
Getting back.
Sign him, yeah. Get him in.
Need a backup striker. How old is he? 31. Decent, good age. 6'3". Oh, get onto that.
Yeah,
and Ali Samatta was at PAOK.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, he went to Fenerbahce after Villa, played 30 games, 5 goals, and went to Antwerp and Genk on loan. Has been at PAOK for 11 appearances.
Yeah.
Scored twice.
All right, there you go.
So that's where they are now. Jan Bednarek, again, just no impact, didn't really do anything. Augustinson, the same, just like nothingness. Players, no memories whatsoever from me, apart from bad ones.
And I think they were, again, the first phase of Villa in the Premier League. You probably could have come in and give you a bit of support around the edges, but when we were trying to climb the division, they just weren't of the necessary quality, were they?
Yeah, I think when I sent you the list of here's everyone we've signed since promotion. Yeah. That group of players from 2019 to 20 to even early 21 was they're a real lower standard than everyone we've seen since. Like you had the Matty Cash, Ollie Watkins, Emi Martinez window. The one before that was like Engels, these kind of guys, Samatta, and it's like, wow, that's a real step up in just a year. Another 2 that you could kind of couple together, Bjorn Engels and Pepe Reina.
Yeah, I had high hopes for Engels.
Was it Mingles? Was the partnership? Mings and Engels?
That was right, yeah, and obviously famous. Was it the goal against Tottenham, wasn't it? Our last trip to Villa Park before lockdown, and the ball rolls under his foot, and listen, it's one mistake, and I thought he was a reasonable player, but if you see what the elevation that Villa defence has gone on since then. When did we sign Tom Carroll? Was that in the Championship then?
It was the Championship, yeah. It was the January of 2019. Yeah,
was it in the January 19 when? Oh, was that when we signed Mings?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it 2018? It must have been then. January 2018. We were promoted in 2019. Oh, no.
Yeah,
2019. Yeah.
I couldn't remember whether we... I don't think I saw him play.
He didn't play at all, did he? I don't think. Maybe.
I think he might have had 5 minutes, hadn't he?
Yeah. Bizarre signing, really.
Anyway, we don't need to get into ranking the Championship signing.
Because when we were trying to work out how to do this, we did the last 10 years, the Premier League era, return to the Premier League. Is it the top 10 signings ever? I wanted to go instantly. I was like, John McGinn, Tyrone Mings. It's like, they weren't since promotion, they were before, so they don't quite
Didn't
make
you put Mings in this list though? Because he was made permanent.
Yeah, he was made permanent after promotions. He gets into this list, whereas John McGinn doesn't. If John McGinn was allowed top tier,
I would have thought so.
Yeah. He'll have his own little tier. That's all the players that we've got into this list. Then, are you going to
put these on screen?
Oh, I don't know. That's a lot of work. This is an audio-only podcast as well. I was going to say, do you want me to read through them again, or is that too?
Have you moved? What I'm saying is, some of my suggestions. Have you moved them up?
Not physically, no, but I can do. So let's just read through the top tier and the bottom tier. How about that?
Go on.
Okay, so in excellent or grade A or whatever, I've got Ezri Konsa, Martinez, Watkins, Mings, Luiz, Torres, Kamara, Moreno.
Yeah.
Cash.
No.
Bailey.
No.
I can't do this for everybody. I'm sure there was one other, was there not?
No, Moreno was the only one I think who made the step up,
We had Drury's out, Diego Carlos, Duran, Zaniolo and Longley. You could make a case to stick Diego Carlos into good signing, I think, one day. But again, as of right now, I think we've not...
Yeah, well, he's got to have an incentive, hasn't he?
Yeah, something to work for. We did a job, serves a purpose, had the likes of Matt Target in there. He got moved up to good. Ashley Young also got moved up to good as well.
Oh, no, didn't I put Ashley Young in the top tier?
I don't agree with that.
You won't accept it?
Nah. If you've got like Martinez, Conser, Louise, that players that are playing now for where Villa are, I can't put Ashley Young in.
I don't think you don't really need me here, do you?
No, I'll just do what I want, basically. That's it, I think, for the ones that moved around. I don't think anyone went down. I think you put Olsen to the poor category.
Yeah. Would you have done that or not?
Possibly. I don't think he's a good footballer. I've said that many a time.
He's a good signing. Do you think he's good enough to be back up?
Well, he's an international goalkeeper, so he should be.
Yeah.
And from when we did the Neil Cutler podcast a couple of years ago, he said he's a good guy around the training ground, like he works well with Martinez. So
I think the hard thing, when was he signed, Olsen? Can you remember?
I think he was on loan initially for Dean Smith, maybe.
Was he? Because I think that's the difficulty. Because when he was signed, he probably wasn't signed to become a sweeper keeper who could use his feet as well as Martinez does. So I think it's difficult to get it back up to Martinez anyway, but if you ask him to play the same style of football, Martinez is still learning things, of course he is. So for Olsen, who's not that player anyway and doesn't have that in him, I don't think. I just feel, they're not going to be watching, so it doesn't matter, but I feel harsh to be like, he still plays for us, we still might need him to go, put him down a category, could put him even further down. Same with Callum Chambers, has served a purpose to an extent. Yeah, put him above the bottom one then, just in case the title decided on the last day of the season, isn't they?
Yeah, possibly. Courtney Hawes as well. Dendonka, players we didn't specifically speak about. Danny Ings, I put in did a job, but he probably could possibly go down to poor as well.
Yeah, I suppose a
lot of wages.
Wait, did we mention Buendia?
He was in good for me.
Rather than excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Because we've obviously got the kind of holy trinity, haven't we, of Ings, Bwiley and Buendia. Bwings, Bwiley and Buendia. Ings, I think put him in did a job, because I think he did do a job, but in terms of what we got versus what we paid.
And what the expectations were as well. I thought he would not be a 20-goal a season striker, but pushing to be top scorer by some distance. And he was obviously a top goal scorer. We sell him, give Ollie Watkins keys to the City, and he goes on and does what he does.
It's mad, isn't it? Because there was a time where, like, when Watkins played, get Bailey on, he's a better finisher. Don't get back now, get Ings on, he's a better finisher. When Ings played, get Watkins on, he works harder and stuff like that. And they were neck and neck at one stage. So the fact that Watkins is now elevated, and I know there are different stages of the career, but the fact that Watkins is, elevated a couple of categories above him shows how fantastic Watkins a signing was in the first instance and how he's progressed, and B, how Ings just was a bit of a letdown ultimately.
Yeah, now he's linked with going to Wolves. Poor
the mighty have fallen.
So for the second half of the show, we're going to put these players into categories, give them little mini awards, although some of them are not awards that you'd want to get. First up is best value. So somebody who you think we signed for 10 million is now worth 50 million. Yeah. You can take that however you like. Is there anyone that immediately jumps out to you? I've got two.
The first one that pops into my mind is Kamara. I think... obviously signed for a free transfer. It's not completely free, is it? You still have to pay these people.
Yeah, and bonuses and signing on fees and whatever else.
But just that, because I think, he's probably a bit of a forgotten man sometimes, given the role that he performs. But we've noticed, haven't we, in recent weeks when he's not been there over the Christmas period, how pivotal he is to making Villa tick. So I think Kamara now, I don't know what value he'd be. I don't think Villa would sell him for less than 50 million quid now.
Oh, nowhere near. Yeah, I've been talking 80 or 90.
So, I've interpreted that as who did we get for nothing, basically. But who was he one of your two?
Kamara was one of mine, and the other was Conser. I think we signed him for 12 million. Off the top of my head, maybe 15. And again, I think he's worth 60, 70 million in today's market. I think I saw the other day like Chelsea paid 80 million for Fofana. People seem to forget about. Chelsea paid loads of money for people anyway, but He's injured a lot, nowhere near as good as somebody like Ezri Konsa.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're talking about, we spoke about this recently, I think me and John, that some of the players we've got, whether some clubs are going to pay what we're asking for is obviously a different matter, but I'd be going out if clubs are coming to us and saying we want to inquire about someone like Konsa. I'd be asking for whatever the world record fee is for that position. I want that. You know, the world record goalkeeper fee is 70 million for Kepa, I think, or thereabouts. Someone comes from Martinez, I want to break that record then. I want the world record for a defender, for Ezri Konsa.
It's mad, you know, because I'm obviously stuck in the past. 10 million still seems like a massive. You know, I remember when Alan Shearer was the Premier League record transfer for about, I don't know, probably 3 million or something back in the early 90s. And so 10 million still seems like a massive amount of money, but what does 10 million get you really now? Do you get you a kind of reserve team fullback?
Ali Samatta, it's 10 million.
Oh, yeah.
So times have changed. Yeah,
I mean, that is the best value, isn't it?
You're looking at like 25 million now for a good Premier League player. I would suggest, of like a standard that's good enough to be in the squad of a good Premier League side.
And with Konsa as well, you probably pay another 25% premium for him being English as well.
Well, that doesn't mean much to Gareth Southgate.
On top of that.
Let's go best signing then. So you can interpret this in whichever way you like. But again, kind of you might think he's the best because we paid so little for him. That kind of bleeds into the last one. Best pound per fat pound, best performer, best ability. How do you want to take it?
Oh, can you go first?
I knew you'd say that. I'm going to go with Martinez. I think 20 million, give or take. I think if he was still at Arsenal and they nurtured him correctly, I think Arsenal would have won the league by now. Since he left for Villa, obviously he's improved massively since joining Villa. No thanks to Neil Cutler and the team around them, and obviously Unai Emery in the last 18 months or so. The best goalkeeper award this year, the World Cup winner, kind of elevated our standards for what we expect from that position. I suppose has changed the way we play out from the back. All these things, the kind of the stuff that he does as well is things that we tend to like and talk about, and a very, very good footballer as well, a very good goalkeeper in every sense of the word. So for 20 million, again, if I was somebody who's coming and saying we want to inquire about Martinez, I'd be saying, well, I want 70, 80 for him. He's the best goalkeeper, one of the best in the league. So our best signing since promotion, 20 million Martinez.
I think it's fair, and I think you made a compelling argument that, you know, I'd go for Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, he'd be the other one, I think.
But, you know, all the reasons you said with Martinez, he's difficult to argue against Martinez. But I think with Douglas Luiz, I think the player that we've got now, and I think it was a slow burn, and I don't think I'm in the minority, but am I in the minority or the majority? Anyway, these other people who share, I think, were slow to appreciate quite how good you know, I don't think I'm the only one, basically. But I think if we look at the player that we've got now, approaching his prime, a Brazilian international approaching his prime, I mean, that in itself, I didn't think I'd be saying that about kind of Aston Villa players. But he's so cultured and unhurried and unfussed, and, you know, I think he's pivotal to the way that Unai Emery wants us to play. I actually think he's got a real kind of endearing kind of sense, whether it's sense of mischief or just, he seems quite fun as well. But I think he's always on a level. I think he can do pretty much most jobs across midfield. But to be that good and that accomplished a midfielder, listen, obviously he's an athlete and obviously he's really fit. But I just think he relies on his brain as a footballer rather than... you know, he's one of those players who glides rather than you don't see him busting a gut because he normally knows where he should be. I just think he's like the glue that holds Villa together. So
yeah, definitely.
But, you know, we've mentioned Martinez, we've mentioned Luiz. You could put Konsa in that category as well. Probably a couple of others. You probably could put Watkins in there as well.
It's good to have options, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a brilliant place to be.
And plenty of options for worst signing as well. Again, you can take this down very different avenues, whether it's worst ability, worst waste of money. It's going to be somebody in that poor category, otherwise we've got the first half of the show wrong. Yeah. Is there anyone that jumps out to being the worst Villa signing? I don't like to hone in too much on the negative, but the worst signing since we got promoted.
I mean, I suppose Borja Bastoni is the obvious one, but he was almost like a free hit.
Yeah,
I don't think, it's not as if we've paid massively over the odds and he's come with this massive reputation and he's let us down. He was bought as, like I say, a bit of a shot to nothing, and that's what it proved to be. So I think he's the one that your mind would go to, but probably Danny Drinkwater would be the one, just because I still think he had enough of his reputation by then that we thought he could come and do a job. I don't think he was as match fit as, well, I suppose you're not match fit if you're not playing football matches, but I don't think he was as mobile as we wanted him to be, and I don't think he got the hunger or desire that we wanted to be, except for when he was having fights with Jota, who was supposed to have had a scrap with. So I think he'd probably be the one for me as the worst.
Yeah, he'd certainly be up there. If I was doing the top three, I think he'd be in there. Somebody I've forgotten on the list, and I'm not putting him down for worst, but some of the similar things you could say about Drinkwater, not to the same extent, kind of like being match fit or maybe not the player we thought he could be. Ross Barkley.
Yeah, didn't we have like
there's a little period
a little flurry of him though, during
good.
like the away at Arsenal in the COVID year and Liverpool 7-2.
Yeah, like I said, not comparing him with Drinkwater, but like very much tailed off.
Is it Jota or Jota? I can never remember. Jota, he'd probably be around as well because we signed him from Blues.
Yeah, like $2 million or something.
Yeah, I wonder if he kind of... Cause at Brentford, he used to kind of batter us, didn't he, at Brentford. But yeah, no, I think Drinkwater, just because you expected a little bit more. The guy's got a Premier League medal. He played for Chelsea when Chelsea were not as bad as they are now. I just think he was a massive anticlimax, really. Yeah,
the player I've picked is not one that we've talked about, and I almost went for Morgan Sanson just because he was so stop-start. There could have been something there. We paid a decent fee for him. There was this kind of expectation that he didn't live up to, and still... Is he on loan now? Is he on...
I don't know what's happened.
That's mad, isn't it? The fact that we don't even know. Which
it's not mad, because we don't know much,
says more about us, I suppose, yeah. The player that you've not mentioned for me, and the one I've picked is Wesley, which is partly harsh because of the injury of what happened to him. It's kind of not his fault, of course. I don't think he was a great footballer before that anyway. And of all the others that, Jota doesn't come with much expectation, Baston doesn't, Drinkwater probably doesn't. Wesley comes with little expectation really, apart from, well, he's Brazilian, he's young, we paid a decent fee for him, so he must be good. And he didn't ever really live up to that, and to me didn't look a Premier League striker, and obviously now is he at Stoke on loan, I think? Or
I don't know where he's ended up.
I'm pretty sure he's at Stoke. He obviously went out on loan to Brazil, I think, to come back with his recovery. I'm pretty sure that's right. But yeah, just somebody that I don't want to kind of like have a go at him because he got injured, and that's obviously not his fault. But like I said, I don't think he was the best footballer in the world anyway. And again, if you're spending 20-odd million on a Brazilian striker, I expect more than what he delivered, sadly.
I'd be debating whether Wesley would even go in the bottom tier. But
really?
Rather than, let alone whether he'd be the worst of the worst.
Okay, well, people in the comments can get involved in it, but maybe not giving us their full 40.
He probably would go in the bottom tier, by the way, but I wouldn't make him worse.
Yeah, best and worst and things like that. People can share their opinions in the comments. Played 25 appearances for Villa, 5 goals. This is according to Wikipedia, so that will probably include cup games as well. Went to Club Bruges on loan and played 3 games. International, which is in Brazil, played 8 games. Levante on loan in Spain, played 37, scored 3. Stoke City, he's at now 18 appearances for them apparently, and scored none.
Right, okay.
Got sent off for us, didn't he, in a friendly against Stoke.
Yeah, that's what must have enticed them to...
just came with and played for Club Bruges for 3 years and scored 32 goals in 107 games, so a 1 in 3 striker, give or take. Not coming with, he's going to come and score 20 goals, but you think some kind of Benteke comparison.
So 1 in 3 in the Belgian League.
Yeah.
Belgian League.
1 in 5.
1 in 5 in the Prem.
Yeah.
He's surpassed expectations, mate. Get him in the elite list.
Yeah, let's move on. The next category is unexpected. Now, you could say this is unexpected in that I can't believe we signed somebody of that calibre, or I didn't think he was going to be that good and he's better than I thought.
Yeah.
Which avenue are we going to take unexpected down? I've got 2.
I've got 2. Do you want me to go first? Mm-hmm. With both?
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors.
I think probably Pau Torres, because he's a class act, and it just showed the pulling power of Unai Emery, I think, and the direction of travel that Villa were going in, that we were able to attract him. So he'd be the one who, he's only played half a season, but looks the real deal, and then some. And then the other one would be Coutinho, but less so Coutinho because he's Gerrard's mate.
Yeah.
So
unexpected in the sense you didn't think we'd get him.
I didn't think we did. I think, when you, says a journalist, thought it was just kind of paper talk and stuff like that. But when we kind of pulled it off, we're like, okay, I can get behind that. He's still a young enough man to really have an impact, and we've seen him, at the peak of his powers. And if we can get a little bit of that, which we did, a very tiny bit of it. But I think the Pau Torres are on really because it was further confirmation that this manager means business. Yeah,
I'd got Pau Torres and I'd also stuck Moreno down as well. Partly because unexpected I didn't really think we needed a left back when we signed him because Luca Dean was playing and we pay him a lot of money to do so. But also how good he was once we signed him as well. He was almost the epitome of, I don't think we really needed him, but here he is. And he's bloody brilliant as well. Like, where did that come from? So he's probably the one I would go for. But Pau Torres is also the one of, we're back now. We're signing the big boys. This guy's linked with a lot of big clubs. I
think the Ashley Young one probably took him a little bit by surprise as well.
Yeah.
I thought somebody come in the door then.
Oh, sorry.
How dare you? It was always on the cards, Ashley Young.
The next category is underwhelming. Now, I actually have two for this as well. Players we've already spoken about. You'll be unsurprised to hear. Just trying to go in mine.
Yeah, because I need a prompt because I can't think of anybody for this category.
Okay, Coutinho. I thought we might be able to get a little bit more out of him than we did. I never expected.
So it wasn't underwhelming when we signed him. It was underwhelming what he produced.
Yeah, afterwards. Yeah, of course. For somebody that was once 130 million or whatever, I didn't expect to get that player. But you think even if we get 10% of that, 20% of that, he'll do well for us. And we probably got 2% of it or whatever. And also Danny Ings. So again, I only really judged that after the fact rather than at the time. I remember when we signed him, I was in Aldi, not on shift, but it was at the time where, when we do podcasts and stuff, if we sign someone, we'll jump on and react to it. Yeah. And I got a message from somebody saying, "We signed Danny Ings, we need to do a show." And I was like, "Well, I'm just picking up some food at the minute." What do you mean, Danny Ings? Where's that come from anyway? And it was totally out of the blue. Yeah. Obviously, scored goals pretty much everywhere he's been in his career. Scored goals for Villa as well, of course, but. Again, I wasn't expecting him to score 20 goals a season, but I thought he'd do more than he did. And to ship him off to... Where did he go after us? Where's he at? Where did he link? West Ham.
To West Ham, yeah.
West Ham, and then linked with Palace and Wolves. And, that, as we were talking about earlier, that kind of split with him and Watkins seem level pecking. Yeah. Maybe they can play together, maybe they can't. For Watkins to so far surpass expectations at that time and for Ings to kind of go the other way. Yeah.
I think I probably maybe interpreted underwhelming in a different way in terms of when they signed, you're like, so what kind of thing. And I think I'm right in saying they signed in the same window. I can't remember exactly when it was, but Jan Bednarek and Leander Dendoncker. And if I remember rightly, it was the time when there was all the fuss about Luiz going to Arsenal. Mm-hmm. And I think somebody was trailing his car or whatever. It was that deadline day, and there's loads going on, and we're like,
"There's a Range Rover outside his house. He must be moving."
That's it. It was that kind of thing, and I just thought, "Oh God, if we lose Luiz
and Dendoncker's
on this deadline day, and we've signed these, I don't know." And Dendoncker's actually gone on to become a useful squad player, and I presume he was only intended to be that when Gerrard signed him. So. He's not going to walk straight into that midfield. So it was just those ones that were like, really, is this where our ambitions lie? I think it was a summer window as well. So I don't think
so. I think, maybe.
I don't think it was a kind of January, because in January you're like, oh yes, we need to top up. We've got a potential injury crisis coming here or whatever. So you almost set your standards a little bit lower, I think, because. The summer signings are the ones that you're going to kind of build your team around. And you do your due diligence. Well, you do your due diligence around each signing, but so I think it was that feeling of real deflated kind of anticlimax again when we signed those two.
Yeah, they both were a summer transfer window. You're right. I had a feeling Bednar was the winter window, but it wasn't. He was obviously on loan. Dendoncker, 15 million euros according to Transfer Market, which is usually close enough. Yeah. Let's pick favourites next. Again, you can take this down any avenue you like. Your favourite signing of the last 5 years?
I don't know, because I'm massively biased. And Tyrone Mings, for me, and
I've got the same.
You've said it so many times, the ambassador, hopefully he's going to come back through adversity again. The kind of captain that you'd like on and off the pitch, somebody who's been able to adapt their game from being a Premier League reserve at Bournemouth to becoming a colossal defender with Villa in the Championship when, I think he was playing he's been a left back, I think, for a lot of his career and was reinvented as a left-sided centre half. So I think Mings, and I know we signed him initially on loan under Dean Smith towards the middle of the Championship season, but even the kind of the stuff that surrounded it in terms of him going back after the playoff final with his Villa kit and Villa doing that. I was going to say one of the categories that we should have had, but maybe we can do it this one and wrap it into one, is the best announcement as well, the best signing announcement. I can't remember too many of them, to be honest. I think it's almost lost. It's become a little bit more subtle now, hasn't it, the new sign announcement. There's a time when football clubs were trying to kind of outdo each other with who could be the most creative, but even that, when he picked up from Whitton Station or whatever it is. So yeah, I'd have Mings in there, I think.
Yeah, I'd also got Mings. I got Louise as well, in the sense that I thought we might not have spoken about Louise at this stage of the show for different reasons, and obviously he's come up in a few categories. Tyrone Mings, I love him. I've spoken about him enough on this podcast to bore people with it, I'm sure. But for somebody that's represented like the journey Villa have been on, you've got Tyrone Mings and John McGinn as like they're the two that have been here this whole time, and I can't think of two better people to hopefully lift a trophy with Villa, hopefully this season, than those two. So Mings for me, again, I probably would have gone McGinn if he was in this bracket, but signed obviously in the Championship. Two categories to go. I've got this one that's called most expensive sale, which doesn't probably word it correctly, but who do you think of the signings?
It's the one with the kind of high ceiling there.
Yeah, like basically. Who is going to go on to be the next Jack Grealish sale, basically? Who's worth the most, do you think? Not necessarily now, but 3 years down the line, you might think Duran is worth loads or whatever.
So just to kind of make sure I've got this question right, should I be influenced by who's most likely to leave?
No, or you can do what you like.
In 5 years' time, who's going to be the most valuable member of the current dressing room, really? Can you go first?
I'd got two, and then I put maybe, and then three more.
Yeah.
So I've got Kamara or Louise, because I think I'm not suggesting they're going to go in the next year or two, but you think that could happen if they've got to make a big sale. They're obvious ones, because we paid obviously nothing for Kamara and only 50 million for Louise. Been here a long time. I think they're both very important. I think you can make a case that Kamara is more important than Louise, because I don't think there's anyone else in the squad that can do what he does. I think both of those are £100 million footballers. That's what Villa would want for them. Whether they get it is obviously another matter. And then I put maybe Konsa, Watkins or Martinez as well. I think it's one of that cluster. It's probably going to go on to be 70, 80, 90 million.
So I think Watkins, by virtue of the position that he plays,
someone will want a striker.
But tempt fate here, I think, and jinx it. But I don't think he'll leave. I think
whatever.
I think if he's like 76 and still turning up with his boots and shin pads, then they might try and discreetly ask him to go. I don't think he'll leave during his prime.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, how old is he now, Dan? Is he kind of 27, 28?
27, I think.
So, if we get him... If you sold him in the summer, I think you possibly could get 100 million for him. But I don't think we will. I hope we won't. And I think by the time he gets to 31, 32...
You might leave them, but obviously he's not going to be worth anywhere near that. Yeah, of course, that makes sense. I also think the same could be said for Martinez in a strange way, that I don't think goalkeepers are worth as much as outfield players. And also I think, obviously again, I'm tempting fate a little bit. If Villa do get into the Champions League, I think Martinez will stay here for a few more years. And if he does leave when he's 35, 36, he could go to Real Madrid or whatever, but they're not going to pay 80 million for him. They might pay 30 or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I think somebody like Kamara, Louise, or arguably Konsa are the most likely. Yeah. Unless you're going to get your crystal ball out and say, well, actually, Duran's going to be great in 5 years' time, and he'll be worth 95 million. Which you can't really say that. I think we've got
several potential £100 million players in our dressing room, but I equally think that the stages of the career that most of them are at, this we're biased, aren't we? Why would you leave the mighty Aston Villa, especially mighty Aston Villa, who are actually competing and threatening to be good again? But it gets to that stage where, and I know there's been little bits of talk around FFP again, hasn't there? And I think, am I right in saying Emery mentioned something about a potential kind of sell to buy, kind of we're not going to be busy in January and stuff like that. But Douglas Luiz is more important to Aston Villa than £100 million, and so is Emi Martinez, and so is Ollie Watkins. So I'm glad at the moment we don't seem to be in a place where we need to cash in on the kind of family silver, if you like.
Yeah. The last category I've got for this show is longevity. Which of the current crop will have the best Villa career? Not necessarily that they'll be here till they retire.
Yeah.
You could say somebody like Ashley Young, obviously he's already had a big stint with us. But of the players that are probably here now, I would say more so than the signings of years gone by.
Yeah.
Well, obviously not, because they've obviously already got the lesser career. What a stupid thing to say. Of the players that are here now still, which one will go on to still be here in 5-6 years' time, do you think?
It's a difficult one. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think of the youngest players that we've signed. How old's Kamara?
Kamara's pretty young, off the top of my head. I don't know, 23 or 24. Something like that.
Let's have him then, because your players. Oh, it depends on longevity. Do you mean because Mings has already got it?
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I mean? So if we're on about from now, then if you get another 3 years out of Mings, I think
he'll be the biggest.
You've done well in terms of players with the potential to play for us from now for the longest. I think by nature of the question and the lifespan of footballers' careers, it's got to be somebody who's under 25.
Yeah,
really, hasn't
I suppose. Yeah.
So I think I'd probably go with Kamara for that sense. If he is under 25, he must be early to mid-20s, hasn't he?
Kamara's like 23, I think. I should be able to check this off. I'm pretty sure that's right. I haven't got enough time to keep checking.
Yeah, if he's 36, then I've knackered that question. But
I'm inclined to go something like Pau Torres, possibly. Just I feel like if Villa do start achieving things regularly, like why else go somewhere else? Almost like this is his big move. But I'll go Martinez, which again is slightly cheating the system a little bit because he's already got 3 years with us. But I'd honestly see a case where Martinez is here for the next 6-7 years and has a 10-year career with Villa, with how old goalkeepers can play these days. I think someone like Kamara is probably like Villa aren't at the stage yet where they go, we're in trouble, we have to sell somebody. But when we get 2 or 3 years down the line, and that maybe is the problem, someone like Kamara is prime, like, we paid nothing for him, so he's an easy one to get rid of. Although I understand he's vastly important to us. So, interesting little categories there. I'm glad we did that kind of little bonus second half of the show. Have you enjoyed yourself?
I've enjoyed myself, It's got me thinking, to be honest, because I think, you get locked in the modern day, don't you? And you think you forget about, some of the less exciting signings and some of the people who've kind of let you down and some of the people who've surpassed your expectations. So I think it was, like you said, we could have gone with loads of categories. We could have gone for the last 20 years and stuff like that, but I think we wanted to wrap it into a neat little bundle, didn't we?
Yeah, promotion was 5 years ago, wasn't it? So that's half a decade. It's 40 odd players, so that was enough. Thank you very much for watching this one or listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you are watching, you can obviously see that me and Matt have been together in the same room for this one for the first time in a long time in our new little studio space in the Birmingham office. I will say this is like baby steps for us getting this right. We've got nothing on the walls. We've got no lights in here yet.
We're still trying to get a lock for the door signed off.
Stupid little things like that. There's also, people won't be able to see this, a massive green wall here which is casting green reflections onto you. You
so
look
I'm
like
looking like Hulkish,
to me. I don't know whether it comes across on the camera.
No, you look like Kermit the Frog.
You look very green. I look like the frog. So I'm wearing a green jumper, green trainers and a green iPad here, but some of that is coming off the wall. So over time we will hopefully turn this room into football shirts on the wall and get a little armchair or whatever.
Very homely,
make it a bit more homely. At the moment, it's a bit hospital waiting room. I think is what I've labelled it as: white walls, little chairs. But it's a start, isn't it? And that's the main thing.
Mr. Rolinson, the doctor will see you now.
So thank you very much for watching this one. We hope you enjoyed it. Matt, thanks for joining me to talk about something different. This is the Monday show for this week. We will be back with more content this week, despite there not being any football till the week after. I'll be in the office again this week with John. We're filming something with VR, which is just going to be funny. I think it will be interesting, but to see John walk around with a VR,
not VAR.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about VAR again. To see John walking around with a VR headset will be funny, if nothing else. So stay tuned to Claret Blue to see what we get up to next. Matt, thanks for joining me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.
Up the Villa.